Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello everyone, how are you? Today the topic of our discussion is what is a nation state system. We are also going to discuss its history, the concept and characteristics as well. Before moving on to the presentation, first of all, we have to understand what is a nation and what is a state before understanding nation state system, because nation state system is basically an amalgamation of these two concepts. So first we are going to understand what is a nation, what is a state, then we will move on to the nation state system. What is it, what's its history, what's its concept and characteristics as well. So let's move on. The concept of nation. Nation is a distinct group or a race of people that share history, traditions and a culture. That's the dictionary definition of a nation. And the elements that make up a nation are its common identity, its common history, common language, group of people sharing culture and recognize themselves together. That's the definition and the elements that make up a nation. So that's a concept of a nation. The concept of a state, according to United Nations, an independent country withstanding an international law, such as by membership in the United Nations, recognition by other states, and adherence to the international treaties. That's the definition of state according to United Nations. State have following elements. It has its own official currency. It is internationally recognized, independent political unit, and recognized boundaries by other states. That's the concept of a state. So now we will move on to understand what is a nation state system. Let's move on. First of all, we will understand the history of a nation state system. So the concept of modern nation state came with the Treaty of Westphalia that happened in 1648. So it was an end to 8 years war between Spain and Dutch and the German phase of 30 years war, starting as a battle among the Catholic and Protestant states that formed the Holy Roman Empire. So after the end of 8 years war and 30 years war, a peace treaty was signed between Spain, Dutch and German states at that time, and that treaty was known as the Treaty of Westphalia. And in that treaty, under the terms of peace settlement, a number of countries received territories, were confirmed in their sovereignty over territories. So with this Treaty of Westphalia, the concept of sovereignty and the sovereignty over the territories came into being. So that was the history of the nation state system. So what is the definition of a nation state system? The dictionary definition of a nation state system is a form of political organization in which a number of people who share the same history, traditions or a language live in particular area under one government. So from that definition, you can know that the nation state definition is basically the mixture of the definition of nation and a state. Let's move on to the characteristics of a nation state. The most common characteristics that every nation state have are four. The first is its territory, its physical boundary to hold people in. It has its own population, a fixed population, people to live in the territory. It has sovereignty over its territory, in charge to handle internal matters. It has its own government, a ruling government that makes decision and controls the internal and external behavior of the state. So in the modern era, there are some factors that are weakening the nation state system. So we are also going to know about those factors. We will just go through those factors. We will discuss those factors in another video, but let's know those factors. Growing interdependence among the states. As we know, the globalization is happening in this era at a very rapid pace. So in that era, the concept of nation state has becoming obsolete with the passage of time. Compromise on national interests that are happening in our today's political environment. Growing role of public opinion, the role of MNCs. These all things are basically weakening the nation state system that made up the whole nation state, regional integration. So these were the few factors that are basically weakening the nation state concept. So that was all about nation state system. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.